Boom, baby. We're live. Live, all the way live. I hear that TV. Can we shut that thing down?
I got it.
Do you know how to get those two things off there back there? Or you need help with that? See that we are live and ask your questions now? We can take those off there. A little bit of technical difficulty wasn't prepared for. That's my fault. Can you hear me back there?
We're good.
All right. All right, baby. We're live, all the way live. It is Thursday, oddly enough.
Thursday, yes,
sir. Boy, we got a lot to talk about. Man, there's been a lot of great questions. I expect a lot more.
Yeah,
a lot more people are tuning in than what I sort of expected here.
My bad.
Mike, you want to tell them what we're doing here?
Yeah, so basically we're doing a Q&A with KATO. I'm going to field all of your questions in the YouTube chat and on Facebook. So I'm just going to field them, and we're going to get to everybody's questions and just see what KATO has to say about all of them.
Yeah, I'm ready, man. Now let's not waste any more time. It's 7:02 already. You want to start at the top? We'll start on YouTube and then jump over to Facebook. And if by chance, because we've had problems in the past with, Facebook sort of flaking out on us, if we have some problems, just go ahead and jump on over to the YouTube. The YouTube seems to work pretty well.
Okay. So, keeps going up, I'm sorry. From Bradley7593, is there any chance of having an Imagine Women's Heavyweight Champion in the future? Is there a time new recruits can come to the dojo to check it out?
Yeah, so let's start with the women's part of this first. Of course, there's nothing I would love more than to present women's wrestling on the regular here in Altoona and DuBois, where we were, or Reynoldsville, I guess you should say, and make it a regular part of what we do here. To this point, though, we've been in business now for over 5 years in this school, and we've not had one female sort of stick it out. So I'm sure there'll be some questions about training at some point coming along here. For whatever reason, we've just not had a woman stick it out. And to bring in outside talent, if I'm being 100%, I'm going to try to be as honest as I possibly can with folks here tonight. So let me start out by saying, when I've done stuff like this before, people get mad at me because I'm a terrible liar, but I'm going to tell you how I feel.
Okay.
Independent women wrestler, while there are some who are quite good, oftentimes do not bring the value that they demand a high premium compared to what the product that they bring to the wrestling show. And it's difficult for me to quantify paying a female wrestler who's maybe not that great at this 4 or 5 times as much as a male wrestler who is really good at this. So it's difficult for me to navigate that. I don't think it just seems not fair. If we can find some women that the rate is reasonable and they can bring a quality of match that I think the fans of professional wrestling deserve, then I'm all for it. The second part of it is, look, we have tryouts here every Thursday night. Anytime somebody wants to stop by, Thursdays and Sundays in the morning, just give us a heads up when you want to come so we know to be looking for you, but we welcome new recruits here all the time. We have a handful of people that have made it through. We've had hundreds try out and not make it. It's not an easy school. There's no two ways about it. It is difficult to be a professional wrestler at Imagine. If you are looking for an easy route, a less difficult, I'm trying to be diplomatic here. There's other places to go, but this is not the place to go if you want to be great at wrestling. This is the place to go if you want to be great. If you just want to tell your buddies you're a pro wrestler, then maybe somewhere else is for you.
Understood.
All right, I'm going to have to be quicker on these answers, or we're going to be here till 3 in the morning.
And
right, Lucio DeVere. Lucio DeVere's eyeballing me right
in the
now.
house. All right. Okay, here's a good question from Jenna Bloyer. Why is the watch gaining so much power over everyone? It's like seeing Gregory all over again.
Yeah, I can see that. Boy, Chris Coleman is something pretty special. I mean, this guy's a legitimate power lifter, and
He's the toughest
and,
man.
and
I know.
smart, as smart as the day is long, and he
he is.
surrounded himself with great talent. You got Malachi Gage and the Alpha Rick Matthews, and this low life, which is he's pretty extraordinary in his own right.
Yeah, for being a low life, he's pretty good at the wrestling.
Yeah, he definitely is. And so, boy, you have four guys on the same page, and the other side of this coin has not been able to get on the same page.
Yeah.
And it's something we've talked about a lot here on Wednesday nights. So until I think some other guys can get on the same page, I just I think we're going to see a continuation of that. Hopefully we can navigate something with some of these guys that they can form a united front.
Okay. So another follow-up question from Jenna. Did you ever have a tag team partner? And I've known you for quite a while, so I know you've had a lot of tag team partners. So
I have, yeah.
Maybe talk about a few of the ones that were your favorite tag team partners.
Sure. Well, it really comes down to maybe two or three favorite tag teams ever, partners ever. My first real tag team partner was a guy named Dr. Feelgood. He's from Punxsutawney, and man, we had a lot of fun traveling all over sort of the Ohio and West Virginia and Pennsylvania areas. Man, we had a lot of fun together when I was brand new in the business. And then I had a lot of success teaming with my brother, Big Lenny. Man, we really had some fun together, him and I. And then there's another guy that maybe people aren't really familiar with, a guy named Zubov. He lives out in Wisconsin now, and he's still one of my best friends to this day. And man, we had a lot of fun together too.
Cheesehead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, DC Bentley's in the chat. What's up, DC? Jordan Treese, DC Bentley says, out of all the wrestlers you've personally trained in the last 24 years, name your dream four-man horseman-like stable in a dream scenario where everyone is young and healthy.
Can't do it. I can't do it. It's a great question.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It'd be like choosing your favorite child.
It's easy for me. I only have one.
Okay, well, I've trained between 2002 to 2024 guys who have made it into the wrestling business. I've had to have trained upwards of 35 or 40 total. Not all of them are still active now, but they've all had, some time in the wrestling business. And man, there's a lot of great guys that from that original KCW group. And then you look at now, like, man, there's a lot of good guys here now. I wish I'd have known then what I know now, but I love the question. I just don't feel comfortable answering it because I couldn't pick four. And that's not, no BS. I really, there's a lot of good guys that have come through these schools that I've had.
For sure. Simple Man's Kitchen asked, who inspired you to become a professional wrestler?
Who? I don't know. There's never been a time in my life where I didn't watch professional wrestling. So I remember watching them when I was 3 and 4 years old. We would go, whenever I was a little kid, we would go to my grandma's house because she had WTBS, and we would go and I would watch, Buzz Sawyer and Tommy Rich whenever I was a kid, and on WTBS at 6:05 on the Superstation. And then from there, I found out about WWF, and it's hard to say where it started. I just have never not loved wrestling. I see you're skipping over a lot of questions.
I'm not
Is there
trying
a reason?
No.
Just start at the top and work your way down, man. Let's try to get
Jenna's in here a lot, so I want to get to all of Jenna's questions then. So what's the one thing you dislike about every wrestler you've trained?
Dislike? Holy poop.
So the 35 guys that you've trained,
every single one of them?
Every single one of them.
Impossible question. Good question, but impossible question.
Can we have a KCW reunion to attack Coleman, please, from Alex?
Great question, Alex. But almost all those guys are retired now. I think the only guys sort of left that wrestled in KCW that are still active now would be, Chris LaRusso retired. So I guess it would be Lucio DeVere, Jimmy the Hippie, and Chris Coleman himself. They're the only three that sort of are still active that I know of. So I think that's highly unlikely.
Other than yourself.
Well, I'm not active.
Well, understood. All right. So from Bradley, who, in your opinion, is or was the best technical wrestler?
Brad Armstrong. I know that's not like a popular, like I know a lot of people would say maybe Benoit or Kurt Angle, but man, you want to see a guy that can get it done on the mat. Go back and watch Brad Armstrong, and I know that's sort of an obscure reference, and a lot of people won't know him, but everybody in my dojo here knows him because I talk about him regularly. Okay.
From Jenna again, is there any wrestler that you think will make it to the WWE like they dream?
Yeah, I do. Here at Imagine, I do. Yeah, I think that there's a few guys that are really capable. I don't know. I think a few of the guys are pretty content wrestling here, and because they love Altoona and they love the fans here, so some of them are pretty content with that. I think that Gorgeous Gregor has a legitimate shot. I think that he's big enough and strong enough and capable. I think we have guys that are capable in ring. I think Malachi Gage is capable. I think the Rad Boys are capable. I think there are lots of guys that are capable in ring. Some of the guys got to take the next step physically to get where they want to, but a lot of these guys can really talk and they can really wrestle, and then they just have to decide, I want to take the next step physically if they want to attain their goals.
And from DC Bentley, in professional wrestling competition is seen as a good thing to have multiple companies competing for the same audience. Do you agree or disagree that the same could be said of independent wrestling?
I 100% agree. Yeah, I think it's competition's good in any type of business, no matter what it is. I think that it's difficult because not all independents are cut from the same cloth, and I know this is a question that can get me really in the weeds and some aggravation, but not everybody takes it as serious as we do here, and I'm not going to point fingers or name names, but you have to have a commitment to really be great in the ring. You can't just be, we have a cool production set up, or we have a good, we have guys that really like wrestling. Like, that's just not enough. You got to put in the work inside the ring. That's why we've had Dr. Tom Pritchard in here 6 times, and we've had Ricky Morton in here twice, and we've had, all these guys, Al Snow and man, Shane Douglas a handful of times, and like these guys who are really great. It's not just, and then, I'm not on their level, but I certainly take this stuff serious, and so I think of myself as a pretty good trainer as well. And, I'm not sure not all training is equal. And as a result, not all wrestling is equal. And, to be honest, my stance on it over the years has sort of softened, because if you want to go out somewhere, it doesn't work for me. Like, I wouldn't want guys that aren't putting in the same level of effort that I expect for here. But if you want to go somewhere else and you want to have fun with your friends and have 30 people pay, your friends and family pay to see you and your buddies goof off in a wrestling ring, that's fine. Like, what's it hurting? Whatever.
Okay. Who's your all-time favorite wrestler? That is from Christy Mowry.
Easy. Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's never been a time where I turned on the television and been more excited to see one wrestler. But man, that Cody Rhodes is getting pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
So Jenna's got 2 back-to-back questions. I want to ask them both. So who in Imagine Wrestling do you think is the best? Yeah. And who do you think is the worst? And then follow-up question, I believe she's asking, can we have another Royal Rumble style match?
We are absolutely going to have, in July, again, we will have another
Rail City Rumble.
Rail City Rumble coming back up in July. The winner of that match will get a shot at the heavyweight title down the line, so that's a great question. Who's the best? Geez, I mean, this is such a diverse locker room that literally almost anybody can beat anybody on any given night. Mm-hmm. That's maybe one guy would win 9 out of 10, but 1 out of 10 could happen anytime.
Yeah.
So who's the best? Geez, I don't know. There's a lot of really good guys on Imagine.
Yeah.
Not to mention the guys we're bringing in from Pittsburgh and Western PA and other places. You got your Lawless and boy, Tito's back. People are excited about that. And
Alexander Danis.
Danis is, man, he has really come along and he's something special. We got Glenn Spector and Christopher Kanan. So we got some Pittsburgh guys that are coming along real nice. And we got our guys here that have come through this dojo. So to say who's the best, I guess you'd have to say Coleman. He's the champion, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it stops with the belt. Who's the worst? That Kim Chi's probably the worst.
Yeah, Kim Chi
that
is.
guy.
Maybe if he would clean his stuff. He stinks. Like, I don't understand why he doesn't.
Well, the Crushers, they haven't been around for a while. They're pretty terrible, too.
Yeah. Will we see the Crushers again?
Probably.
Okay.
As soon as they get
That's my question.
Their green card worked out. I do appreciate everybody tuned in tonight.
Yeah, man. We're going to try to get to everybody's questions.
I jokingly said probably 5 or 6 people would watch, so I do appreciate folks tuning in.
Yeah, you said 10 minutes. We're in longer than that at this point now.
Yeah.
All righty. So another question from Alex. Can we have Coleman versus Burger King Ronald McDonald match for the Do Eats? That's not nice. Why are we saying that?
I don't know.
What's your take on the new micro wrestlers?
Micro wrestlers?
Is that the
dwarf wrestlers? Yeah. It's fun. I mean, it's fun. I mean,
you ever been to one of those?
I've not, but I would go.
Either.
I would absolutely go. I think it's probably a fun thing. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to have an opinion, but it looks like it would be fun.
Joe Harbula asks, what do you envision for the future of Imagine Wrestling?
Honestly, a bigger building and bigger crowds at some point. I think that's the end game to all this. We want to run bigger shows than what we've been, and it's not as though we don't feel a lot of gratitude towards what we have now, because not every independent gets to make it 5 years, and not every independent gets to have as loyal of a fan base as we do. Man, we have a lot of great people come to our shows.
We do.
And a lot of them are starting to feel like family because we see them all the time at all of our shows.
Once, sometimes twice a month, sometimes more than that.
And on top of it, we're seeing them in our chats all the time.
Yeah,
and,
man.
They're commenting on our social media, and it just feels like a big family. So it's not that I'm not grateful for that, but I'd like to see it grow. I don't understand why you can't put 1,000 people in a building for a wrestling show every month. And I think we're going to get there. I just have not figured out the solution to that yet.
Okay. Let's see. RZW Studio, how much money for training per month?
Okay, so a tryout is free. Now, you can come and try out. There's no cost for that. If you decide you want to train, then it is $200 down, and then $50 a month for 16 months. Look, honestly, I'd love to train people for free if I could. We have rent to pay on this building, and so we got to keep the doors open that way. But you're not going to find a more reputable school than this with a lower price line. I make $0 training guys here. Zero. I do it out of the love and the passion for professional wrestling that I have. I've never... in the 5 years I've been here, I've not made $1. So, and I don't see that changing, and I don't begrudge it because, I just love wrestling. So I'm glad to be able to do it. Being part of the wrestling business is such a blessing and such a gift for me, and I don't ever want to lose that mindset.
Sure. Jenna, are there any new wrestlers close to graduating from the dojo?
I would think there'll be a few that make it through this year. We don't have all the particulars sorted out for these guys yet, but I would think that there will be at least 1 or 2. We'll see.
Okay. And DC Bentley again. What's the biggest or most common mistake people who want to be a wrestler make?
Assuming that it's all fake.
Yeah, that's
and that this stuff doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
I apologize if your kid's watching. Maybe turn them off. I do say the bad words sometimes, so maybe take them out of here. But I think the biggest misconception about wrestling is that this stuff isn't as hard as what it is, and the mat isn't as hard as what they think it is, and hitting the ropes doesn't completely obliterate your ribs. Yeah. So, I think that's one big misconception. I think that's probably the biggest misconception.
Yeah. Okay. Christopher Hustle, doesn't look like it's a question. I just want to thank you for keeping Imagine family friendly and a great place to take children. Don't think enough organizations do this.
It's important to me. It was important right from the beginning, and I think that both Mike and Donnie agreed with that, and at the time it was Jeremy as well. Jeremy sort of moved on since then, but I do think that it was an important priority for all of us.
Okay. Darren Overbeck, what's the probability of seeing an 8-man tag match between the Watch and the Lowlife, which I believe is a part of the Watch, so the total of the Watch against the Rad Boys, and I believe they mean the Classic Rockers.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be a lot of energy, and I definitely could see that happen.
For sure. Lavina wants to know why your logo for your name is a stop sign, Kato.
That's funny because Lavina, the reason why is because, and again, the reason is because I've worked road construction since I've been 20 years old, and a stop sign in road construction's pretty big deal. So
yeah.
I just adopted it into what my name was. So. And I still to this day, I'm involved in road construction after now it's been 28 years. I've worked for the same company for 28 years outside of wrestling.
Wow. All right. DC Bentley asked, in ring, who is your biggest challenge? And as a trainer, who has been your biggest challenge?
Lucio DeVere has been my biggest challenge by far. No, I don't know. There's been some guys that didn't make it through that were real challenges that most people wouldn't know. So that's been, there's been a guy named Korn that was a challenge to me. There was a guy named Loverboy Lou that I guess kind of made it, that all nearly put me in the nut house. So yeah, I don't know. There's been lots of guys. There's been guys that turned out really good that made me nuts as well. So that's for sure. And what was the second?
In the ring, who was your biggest challenge? Any particular maybe opponent, match?
I don't know. I think my biggest problem as far as when I was wrestling, especially when I was young, was self-doubt. I know it's hard to believe now, but I didn't always have the same level of confidence that I do now. I was filled with doubt when it came to wrestling a lot. And I really became confident in life because of wrestling. Because once I figured out how to be moderately okay at this, then I felt like if I could overcome this challenge, maybe there's other challenges I could overcome. So I was my own biggest challenge.
Okay. I want to jump over here.
Okay.
Just because I did see this question earlier and I did want to ask it. Craig Fitzpatrick, hello Craig, said, hi Kato, I've been a longtime fan of Imagine Wrestling. The creative in pro wrestling has always fascinated me, creating compelling storylines and characters. In your opinion, what's the key to great storyline writing? And how much are the talent involved with the characters and storylines? The things you guys have come up with in the past few years, storyline-wise, creative-wise, character-wise, are really awesome, and I think you should get some credit for stories well told way better than what we're seeing on AEW or WWE.
Well, Pat and Frodo, I do appreciate that. It is really easy to do what I do when I have people that are good at this. And sometimes there's things where people butt heads on some things, but for the most part, we have a really good team here that understands that some days it's all about you, and then other days it's all about someone else, and that's sometimes difficult to navigate. That's difficult to navigate as well. I don't know what happened there that we lost that. See if I can get that back up. There we go.
There we go.
Oh, there's someone who put up the real Kato.
The real Kato.
Yeah.
For free, you too.
Oh, I lost all my questions.
Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back over here to...
So if you ask a question in Facebook, you're going to have to jump over to...
Back over to YouTube here.
YouTube, because we're losing all of those ones, unfortunately.
Right. So the boys from Pro Wrestling Extreme Talk podcast asked,
That's weird.
How do you feel about the Cody and Rock stuff going on in WWE? And I know there was a live presser that was at 7 tonight. My phone's been blowing up, so I imagine my brother-in-law and my buddies have been talking about it. So what do you think about how everything's kind of playing out with WWE right now?
I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are upset about the Cody thing. I think some other people are happy about Rock's involvement. I think it maybe is best for all of us to sort of wait around and see what happens. I don't know. I love it. I think that WWE right now, over the past, what do you think, year and a half has been as good as what it's been in a very long time. I think it's just there's too much WWE on. I wish it was less.
Yeah.
But
I don't have enough time.
It's really good. It's really good. I do enjoy it, and if I just put my fan hat on. And not like I see it from both angles, but if I'm just saying it from a fan, I really kind of want to see Cody finish this thing.
Yeah.
I want to see it, even if he doesn't beat Roman at WrestleMania, I still like to see that match.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd like to see him win the title in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Simple Man's Kitchen just wanted to thank you for KCW Wrestling. It's what made me love independent professional wrestling in Pennsylvania. Same. Jordan Trees, what moment from your wrestling career still gives you chills when you think about it?
There's been a few of them for sure. There was a match with my brother, Big Lenny, in 2003, October 11th, 2003. That man, it was just an exciting, thrilling moment. There was a moment in Meadville, Pennsylvania, as weird as it sounds, where I wrestled somebody. I don't even remember who it was, but there was such a huge crowd. Had to be like 3,000 or 4,000 people, and just see this sea of people, and they were so excited to see wrestling, and that was cool. Honestly, if it's one of the last moments I ever had was just walking through the curtain of the Juniata Civics Association building for my match with Greg.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was really just the rest of it's sort of a blur, but the moment coming through the curtain and doing my lap and seeing everybody and thanking them all for being there is something I'm probably going to carry with me to my grave. I mean, it was such a cool and special moment.
Do you feel like once you walked through the curtain, you kind of you just had that, like, I know you were not worried, but you're thinking about all these things are running through your head, and then as soon as you step through, it was just like clean slate, like, man, this is why I'm here. Like, why you're here. You're excited to be back, excited to get in there.
I don't even know if that details it. Like, it just, like, I almost felt like I was new at wrestling again before I went out, and I had told myself all week that no one was going to care when I came through the curtain. Like, people would be like, oh, look at this old man walking through the curtain. And it wasn't that at all. People seemed genuinely happy to see me, and that was a different reaction than what I expected. I figured I would, even though Greg was the villain, I expected him to sort of get cheered and me to get sort of a half-assed sort of response.
It was loud enough that I had to take the headset off, buddy. So.
Yeah.
All right. Alex says, when's Imagine going to come back to Hastings, Pennsylvania?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure right now when that's going to happen or if that's going to happen. I know the last time we were there, it honestly just didn't draw well. It was one of our lowest attended matches shows that we've had. And I just don't know if maybe there's not a market for wrestling anymore in Hastings. Okay. So, I'm not in this business for money, but at the same time,
there are things that have to be paid for in order for us to do the things that we do.
Even at least, Yeah.
Simple Man's Kitchen. Who's your favorite old school wrestler? He has in parentheses 70s, 80s, and or 90s. I know you said Stone Cold Steve Austin's your favorite wrestler of all time.
Wow, geez, that's 25 years ago now. Is Stone Cold an old school wrestler? Well, if I'm being old school,
so he said 90s. So I'm saying because Austin's from 80s, 90s.
Yeah. So
anybody maybe in 70s, 80s? As you were growing up as a kid, I know you had mentioned about going to your grandmother's house and watching on TBS.
I love Tommy Rich. He was my first favorite my first guy that was my favorite wrestler.
Okay.
So Tommy Rich was great. Look him up if you want. He's a good guy.
All right. IUP Hawk Fan 5 said we would love to get Yins at the KCAC in Indiana.
Indiana would be fun. I think there's somebody else getting ready to run there right now, and I don't want to step on any toes. He is a friend, so I don't want to step on somebody else's toes. If they decide not to run, I would always be open to it.
Understood. Jimmy the High Flying Hippie asked, what's up, buddy? Do you look at Chris Sands and miss your mullet from back in the day?
Man, I did have a pretty fantastic mullet. I don't know if people ever saw it, but in the 90s, man, No doubt about it. If Shawn Michaels had a mullet, so did I.
I remember seeing your pictures with Dr. Feelgood as
man.
Fabulous Freebirds 2000, correct?
Well, just a Freebirds.
Freebirds, not Fabulous.
too.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me ask, because there is a few questions here that we can get in. I'm sorry we lost a bunch of them on Facebook. So if you want to ask any of the questions on Facebook again, do it quick and I'll get them in here. So not sure if this is from Craig. Not sure if you've seen my question before, but wondering what the key to a good story writing and good character building. There is, it's very simple. Don't make it complicated. Make it easily digestible for people. And that's my thing. But honestly, like good writing, I mean, I don't even think what I do is writing. I generally think, man, this will be a good match, and then we'll see what happens from there. I don't overthink these things. Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be surprised how creative these guys can be when it comes time to cut a promo or sneak attack somebody from behind, and
Get creative.
Be surprised how much of this stuff everybody thinks everything's down to the letter, and KATO has this giant pencil that he uses, but that's not always the case. Let's see, is there any other? Oh, the real KATO is in here. Well, then who am I?
Wait a minute. What's that say? Did you ever team with Pat Tanaka?
I didn't. No, that's another guy. That must be that. That must
Orient
be him.
Express, right?
The greatest opponent you ever faced. Greatest opponent you ever faced. There's a lot of them. I hate to single a guy. To say one person, there's been a lot of guys I really had a lot of fun.
So to follow up with that, because Joyce, that was the next question I was going to ask you. Joyce Beals asked, which match in the ring was your most challenging?
Do you see yourself in another heavyweight title match? Unlikely, no. No, I don't. I think that I'm not sure people would want to see a 48-year-old heavyweight champion, so I think that ship has sort of sailed. Dave Tremel asked, who all wrestled in Altoona that did or are with the WWE? So, let's see. That came through KCW. I can't talk about, I don't know who all's been around everywhere, but just went through KCW or Imagine. Brian Pillman Jr. is there now. He wrestled with us quite a bit, in the early days of Imagine. Brody Lee wrestled for me quite a few times in the early days, and I think I had saw in here earlier, and I thought we would get to it, or maybe it was on that side. What was Brody like? I'll tell you a quick story. So anybody doesn't know, I know some of our fans aren't people that watch wrestling all the time, but Brody was a guy that he was part of the Wyatt family in WWE, and then he went to AEW and had a real nice run in AEW, and then he ultimately died of some sort of lung problem, correct? Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that when he came in and wrestled for me, he was great. Such a nice man, huge human being. The last time that I saw Brody, it was right after he had got signed by WWE, and it was in Butler. I'm going to wrestle there in a few weeks, and Brody, who was already so good at this, pulled me aside and said, KATO, will you watch my match and let me know what you think? And I thought, geez, buddy, you just got signed. You're way better than me at this. What a nice guy to ask me this. And when he came back, I thought, I watched it because, I thought, well, just in case, but I think he's just being nice. He came through the curtain and then right away said, hey, what do you think? You got any advice? And first off, I was blown away that he really seemed interested in what my opinion was. And this is probably, this had to be 15 years ago now. And then I said just what I said to you now. I said, what can I tell you? You're already way better than I ever could hope to be. You're going to do great in the WWE, and I wish you best of luck. And he thanked me and gave me a hug, and that was it. And that was the last time I really saw him. We sat and watched another match after that, but we did just idle chit-chat. And, man, I still feel bad for his family, and I know seems like they're doing well, and they're good people. And, of course, I never met his kid, or I only ever met Brody, but, I certainly feel bad for his family, and what a good man. let's see over here. Any good tips for branding as a wrestler? Yeah, branding. The thing I would say is, it's like building a nice house that doesn't have a foundation. So I cannot emphasize this enough. Build your foundation first. Don't worry about branding. Get good at being a pro wrestler. Find a school that spends time on the fundamentals. Spend time on teaching you how to tell a story in the ring, on how to not hurt yourself, not how to... There's a difference between hurting somebody in the ring, because all this shit hurts. There's no two ways about it. All this stuff, it hurts. But don't injure guys. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to injure somebody so that they can't wrestle again the next day. That's not what this business is about. And then, so that's where it starts, guys. And I understand the question, what can I do to get my name out there more? But, man, it really comes down to just get to a reputable school. I know that, I stand by our training, and I know this is an egotistical thing to say, but I swear to God, I believe our school is the absolute best school in Pennsylvania and maybe in the Northeast. I stand by that. But there's still other reputable schools. If you don't like me, because I know I have an abrasive personality and I'm hard to deal with sometimes. I understand that. But the thing I would say is, like, there's a school in Pittsburgh, or there's schools in Pittsburgh that you can go to, and I'm sure there's other places you can go that are very reputable. I can think of two in Pittsburgh and hours here in Altoona, and I don't really know what goes on in Philadelphia, so I can't tell you that. But beyond that, understand the ins and outs of this wrestling business. Brett Hazlitt says, from back in KCW and even now, imagine, there have been many great talents that have accomplished a lot outside of the local landscape. What is the it factor for guys like Spencer Slade, Cole Carter, Corey Graves had? Also, can we have a War Games? Man, I want to have a War Games in the worst way. What is the it factor? The it factor is they could walk through a room and you don't know who they are, and you say, that's somebody. Like, you want to hear what they're going to say or look at them and see what they're going to do. And, I think we have a few guys like that here. I think there's a few guys here that could get that opportunity if they wanted, if they work hard enough. But, Spencer Slade is grinding. He is working hard to get where he wants to go. Corey Graves worked hard, traveled all over the world to get where he got. So having the it factor is not enough. You have to put in work. Janelle asked, is Dango coming to Altoona? Absolutely. When that's going to be, I don't have a date yet, but that is absolutely going to happen.
Righty. Aaron Hasselbarth, ever thought about doing 2 shows a month in Altoona?
No, I don't, because times are tough. And people in my locker room hear me say this all the time, but people, a lot of our folks that come to our shows, it stretches them financially to come to our shows. And I do worry about that. I would love to, from like a fun factor, run more than once a month in Altoona, but I don't want to stretch people financially more than what they already are. Times are tough, man. Gas prices are high. Food prices are high. Despite everything going through the roof, we've done everything we can to keep our ticket prices at the same, our food prices at the same, because it's important to me. I would rather continue on the path we're on, not making money, breaking even, and having nice-sized crowds, because I've done wrestling wrong my whole life. Every old school guy says it's about the miles and the money. And for me, it's been about the art. It's been about the art of professional wrestling and helping people be distracted from the awfulness that is sometimes day-to-day life between your job and the stress of family and friends and just the economy and everything that's going on. It's our job to distract people from that. It's our job to create heroes and villains for kids so that they can forget about school problems or this other kid at school or whatever the problem may be. And it's our job to create distractions and bring smiles and happiness to people. And so to add that extra burden of cost, much as me, I'd love to run 10 shows a month.
Yeah.
But I don't want to add some sort of financial burden to people.
Do you have a funny memory or moment in the wrestling ring, or just in wrestling from Aaron
lots of them, but
Hasselbarth?
they're very not appropriate for television.
I thought I'd get one out of you. It's all right. Jenna asks again, why does the watch always have interference or cheating to maintain the titles that they hold?
Well, I think that let's see what happens. Let's see what happens in February. Maybe some of that on February 17th is going to change. Let's see what can happen here.
From King Gaha. With DuBois community days being canceled this year, will Imagine Wrestling still be able to be in DuBois this year? Not sure if you got my question on Facebook.
I didn't get your question on Facebook. Facebook is sort of only allowing so many questions and then sort of ripping them away from me, so I can't keep up on them. And we'll go back to the Facebook ones here in just a minute. I can't believe how many people are tuning in for this, so I do appreciate that. So between the two, we have 60 people watching right now, which is somewhat shocking to me. So again, give me the question again. I'm sorry.
DuBois,
Day.
yeah.
I don't know. We looked for a building. When I say we, Donnie looked for a building for quite a while in DuBois and didn't have any luck. I don't think he's given up on that because I would like DuBois is a great town, man.
Yeah.
We had a great reception. We're just outside of town right now with Reynoldsville. It's not that far of a drive. I do encourage people to come over. The Bellamara is a nice facility.
Yeah,
lots of parking. They have a bar next to the
venue.
ring.
Yeah, it's in the venue.
It's a nice venue. Yeah. And so yeah, I don't know. Never. I would not say that's the right answer because I would love to go back to DuBois. Let me get a couple of these questions in before they disappear here. Richie Allen asked, do you think we have too many promotions in the Pittsburgh area? I don't know. It's a big area. I think that, do we have sometimes too much bad wrestling in a specific area? Yes, of course. I think that, I wish wrestling would sort of police itself a bit better. And, I just saw how badly framed this wide shot is, and it's making me nuts right now.
Yeah, I can fix it.
Hey, back there, could you come out and frame this up a little better? It's way too high, and it's making me nuts.
You can see the top of my head.
I don't think you. Thank you. This camera here is framed way too high, and it just looks nuts.
While cameraman Steve fixes our camera here, how about a non-related wrestling question? What was it like working on the set of Unstoppable?
Fun. I stood and I talked to Rosario Dawson for a while, which she was really sweet and nice. And then the director, Tony Scott, who ultimately ended up jumping off a bridge and ending his life, he cursed more than even me, which is really saying something. He said the F word a lot. In a very public setting. So that was weird. But yeah, it was a cool experience to be on an actual blockbuster movie set for 5 straight days. It was very cool.
How do you feel about Magnus Knox's attitude lately on Wednesday nights? From Jenna.
If nothing else, it's interesting, right? It's
learning a lot about him.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's the best I can say. Let's see where it goes. Because oh my God, that framing is so much better. Oh, that makes me feel so much better. That would have drove me nuts the entire show if I'd have been paying attention to it. This is part of the problem with working with me. The simplest stuff makes me nuts.
Bobby Wolf asks, can we volunteer to help clean up after the show?
I do appreciate that. I do know we need to keep it somewhat tight and small because of just insurance in general. But I do appreciate it. We generally have enough people between all the trainees and everybody and all the wrestlers that stick around that live local. We generally do okay, but I do appreciate that.
Joe Harbula asked, any word on how Coach Payne is doing?
We haven't talked to Coach in what? Well, he was at the last show in the locker room, and he said he's doing well, and he's on the list for a heart transplant. One thing you'll always find when you talk to Coach Lance Payne is a legitimate positive attitude.
Yeah.
And I know he's coaching basketball right now for Juniata Valley, and I'm sure he's a fantastic coach. And as far as I know, he's doing well, and I think that once he gets his transplant, he'll be doing even better.
Yeah. Love you, Coach. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What are we doing over here?
Okay, so we got what was it like wrestling New Jack back in the day with KCW? So anybody that doesn't know who New Jack is an old school ECW guy who had a reputation for legitimately stabbing and bashing people over the head and legitimately injuring a lot of people. I can tell you my experience with New Jack was almost always fantastic. For whatever reason, he liked me, and I really liked him, and I went to his house and had a crazy story that I don't want to bog down the show with. But, man, I like New Jack, and I wish I could have got to spend more time with him. He's gone now. He's passed away. And but my experience was great. I mean, the stuff he did hurt. As so much as one time when he picked me up for a body slam, he also punched me under the jaw, and I thought my jaw was broke. He went boom and then slammed me, and man, that hurt. But everything he did hurt. But I loved getting to wrestle with him. I loved getting to team with him. I teamed with him and I wrestled against him, and he cut me with knives and smashed me over the head with chairs and put me through a table and
hit you with a flaming baseball bat.
Old school kid me that loved ECW was having the time of my life.
Simple Man's Kitchen. Any chance Imagine Wrestling will come to Bedford anytime soon?
I hope so. That's something we have on the table, and we're trying to work towards. I know the Rad Boys, it's a big pet project of theirs. So I would love to see that happen. I think it is going to happen, hopefully, this year.
All right. IUP Hawk Fan 5, going off the one thing you said last night. How do yins like your burger?
How do I like my burger? I'll tell you how I like my burger. I like it well done. I don't like any pink in the middle. I hate potato bread. I have no interest in potato bread. That was sent to earth by Satan himself because it's one of the grossest foods ever made. Potato bread, don't bring it to me.
Okay.
I like either mayonnaise or I like barbecue sauce as my
condiment.
Don't put Swiss cheese on it. Swiss cheese is made out of puke and garbage. Okay?
Okay, so
don't put
like
Swiss cheese on it.
What about mustard?
I don't want mustard on it. I don't hate mustard, but I don't want mustard on my and I used to like bacon, but I've been getting away from bacon. So just white bread, a good patty, some cheese, some barbecue sauce. That's good. That's all you need.
Okay.
Let me see here real quick here. Any questions? Can anyone stop the world beater? Not right now, man. What was it like wrestling Shane Taylor? Shane Taylor is a humongous human being who I wrestled a handful of times. He now works for Ring of Honor, and I know a lot of people didn't like wrestling him because he hit people super hard. I loved Shane Taylor. I respect Shane Taylor, and I'm so happy for all of his success for him and his family. Let's see, the 4-H building, Bedford Fairgrounds, great place to rent. Might be worth checking out. Other than wrestling, this is Janelle. What's your favorite thing to do other than wrestling? Is there anything else? I don't know. I like fishing. I do like fishing. I don't have enough time to really do it. I do like that as far as hobbies. My absolute favorite thing in the world is spending time with my grandchildren. There's nothing I'd rather do than that. Even wrestling, I'd rather do that because they're all little. I have 6 grandchildren between the age of maybe 2 months and 3 years old, so that's definitely my favorite. How's Big Lenny doing? I've seen that on both sides here. I've actually not talked to Lenny in quite a little while, and it's because he needs time and he needs space, and but it's my understanding that he is getting the help that he needs. So I don't want to get too deep in the woods with this, but he's my brother and I love him, and when he's ready to talk, he knows that my phone is always on, and I'll be ready whenever he's ready, but I also don't want to be up his ass, so to speak. He needs time right now.
I understand. Alex asks, are you planning to do Q&As in the future with other Imagine wrestlers?
I don't know. I didn't think there'd be much of a market for it tonight, to be honest, and clearly I was wrong on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if there's an interest in it, I wouldn't want to do it at 7 on a Thursday again, maybe 7:30 or 8 o'clock, because we did cut training a little short tonight for this, because I honestly thought this would last 15 minutes and we'd run out of questions. I asked you to prepare a whole bunch of questions,
yeah,
and we haven't got to one of them because I thought we'd have to make up stuff. So I do appreciate everybody that's tuned in here tonight.
I was going to ask you what you liked on your burger.
Okay, that's a good question.
All right. Vern Evans, we love your positive message at the end of Imagine live shows. Louina wants to know if you'll do a positive message at the end of this Q&A show.
I absolutely have that intention. Yes, and it was in my mind.
DC Bentley, in your opinion, who makes a good hand?
A good hand, man. I think some people have considered that a term so a good hand, for anybody that may not know what that is somebody that's really good at their job as a wrestler and maybe not seen as a top guy. Like, you can be really good. Like, I think Dolph Ziggler, if you watch WWE, was sort of considered a good hand. But man, Dolph Ziggler had a 20-year career. I don't know. That's pretty good.
I'd say so.
Work
for the biggest wrestling company in the entire world and have a steady paycheck for 20 years and get to travel the world and... Yeah.
So what makes a good hand? I think it's a good attitude.
Yeah.
All the stuff is important. Good promo, good in the ring, good just gear, good look. All that stuff's important, but good attitude really makes a good hand.
Michelle Gardner, question: do you come up with all the storylines? And a comment: great idea, Kato.
What's a great idea? I'm not sure what the great idea is.
I read it just as it was written out.
Storylines. I think that's such a funny word. I'm not trying to insult you, Michelle, but I think it's such a funny word to think of storylines. I know it's something that wrestling fans maybe say, but I don't really see them as that way. I would maybe... Like, I just try to think what would be something compelling to watch. And I thought the idea of, let's say, what's something that I find really interesting? I found the whole thing with Eric Enders and Lucio DeVere over the past 9 months or however long it was. I saw them as maybe being a team for 3 shows. And then it just got to be so interesting that it kept going on. That wasn't me. That was them making it interesting. So, whereas I'm a guy, I'm a planner. I have plans. I'm a schemer. But, man, these guys make or break all these situations. You could have the best paint and the best canvas in the world, but if your painter can't draw a straight line, then you're not getting anything. So there's an old saying, and again, if there's kids, chicken salad out of chicken shit. And sometimes these guys do a really good job of, not all my ideas are great. Sometimes they're pretty terrible. And sometimes some of these guys really get some good stuff out of them. So as much as it's nice to give me all the credit, that's just factually incorrect.
Bradley would like to know what happened to Rad Rex. I think you got to ask the Rad Boys that question.
Didn't all the dinosaurs go extinct?
Long time ago.
I'm not a paleontologist, so I can't really tell you the answer to what happened to Rad Rex. The Rad Boys are probably, if we have an interview with them, ask them.
Pat and Frodo, just wanted to thank you, Kato, and everyone in the dojo for everyone's hard work and dedication to what you do.
Thank you for tuning in every week.
Christine Mowry would like to know if the Patriot is coming back soon.
Absolutely, he will be back. No doubt about that.
Bobby
Yeah.
Wolf says, Little Man wants to know, is Spencer Slade coming back?
It's a great question. The door is always open to come back. I think that Spencer wanted to try some new things, and there's no ill will or no bad feelings between Imagine or me and Spencer Slade. So, yeah, I don't know. I hope so. I hope so at some point. I would think definitely yes, unless he gets signed to WWE and then is unable to.
Non-wrestling question. What is your guys' favorite NFL team? Mine's the same as yours.
Steelers.
Yep.
Pittsburgh Steelers. I've always, I love the Pittsburgh Steelers.
DC, as a wrestler, how did you address bookers and promoters that you didn't agree with?
I'm not a good example. If guys did something that sucked, I would tell them that it sucked. And then they would be mad at me, and then I would not get booked there anymore. So I'm terrible at that. I was terrible at that. I always saw wrestling as art and felt the need to let people know if their idea of rubbing feces on a newspaper and calling it art, I would always disagree with that.
What's your favorite wrestling podcast? That's coming from Eric Ross.
No, I better not say it. I think this guy's sort of controversial, right?
I think I know who it is.
It's Jim Cornette. I do like Jim Cornette. I don't agree with his politics, and I don't agree with all of his wrestling takes, but I do think that his overall presentation is so insane sometimes that it's comedic and fun.
Lavina wants to know if you like any pro sports. I know we just covered football, but baseball, basketball, etc. Any other sports?
I've never been a basketball fan, and I think the reason is because Pittsburgh didn't have a basketball team, which is not a great excuse because I'm not into hockey. But I do like baseball, and I try to give the Pirates a chance every year, and most years they seem to let me down for some reason. I love watching baseball, but I mean, I love football. I could watch Penn State football and Steeler football every day.
Okay. Here's a WWE question. What was your opinion on the Shield from the WWE?
The Shield?
The Shield.
Man, boy, two of those guys ended up being really good.
Oh, two of them. Two of the three, huh? Okay. Can we see a match between... Oh, the heart's in the way. I believe that's Lucio DeVere and Malachi Gage.
I think there's been quite a few of those matches
has, last year.
I can't imagine there wouldn't be more of them. Lucio and Malachi Gage had one of the most violent matches in the history of Imagine Wrestling. So I think there's a certain amount of fear in presenting that in a family-friendly group. The hate is real, so you gotta sometimes maybe do as much as I think they like to fight each other. Again, I think that maybe it's better that for now they stay separated.
So IUP Hawk fan asked, speaking of Lucio DeVere, we need a hair versus hair, more of a statement. We need a hair versus hair match between Lucio and Eric Enders. Hair versus hair.
Does that mean potentially? You know who I'd like to see in a hair versus hair? John Williams, the referee, in a hair versus himself match, so that he has to shave that skullet.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
We'll convince him to do it by the end of the year.
Janelle asked here. Oh, let's see. Nathan asked, who's your favorite wrestler to face in KCW? Well, he was my favorite tag team partner in KCW. He was also my favorite opponent. That's my brother, Big Lenny. Janelle asked, who do you think the best female wrestler is? And I think there's a few of them that are really, really good. I think that, I think Bayley's fantastic. I think she's so good. I always enjoyed Sasha Banks. I thought she had something special. Mommy's always on top, man.
I love Rhea Ripley, man.
Something else.
She's great.
Love her or hate her, she's interesting as all get out. That's Charlotte Flair. She is really good. I'm trying to think who might be in AEW that's really good.
Toni Storm.
Let me think. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not fair. I can't believe there hasn't been an AEW question in this entire thing, but I don't watch enough AEW to have a good, strong opinion of it.
I was going to ask if you watched any of the matches last night, but
I did not.
assumed
No, I
you
did
had
not.
So, all right. What do you think about a two-promotion event? Like, example, Imagine versus IWC or another company.
I don't know. I think that'd be difficult to navigate because I'm difficult to work with. So I think that'd be difficult to manage. I think that there's a way to do it where you maybe one company puts on their 4 best matches and the other company puts on their 4 best matches, and then you're really getting something great and special. I do think there's something to be said to do about that, but to do just like my best guy against your best guy without getting too far into the weeds and exposing the business too hard, my guys ain't losing. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we got any other ones over here. Favorite wrestler?
Jason Reese likes Deonna Purrazzo. Again, I don't have a good opinion of her because I've not seen enough of her wrestling. I saw a few matches of her when she was on the Indies, but that was it. Look, Mikey, it's been an hour. I think we're finally getting to the end here.
We are getting to the end
So,
here.
I want to thank you for KCW. After my wife left me, it was a nice distraction for myself and my kid to get away. We're not gonna be able to read the
system shut down.
My phone shut down here on Facebook, so I won't be able to see any more of those.
Ooh, I like the last 2 questions.
So let's see. Do you want to?
Yeah, what's your wrestling Mount Rushmore? Do you think you could do it?
Let me finish with this one first. Simple Man's Kitchen. Man, I appreciate you. You're one of the folks that subscribe to our channel. So we do have the channel for people that go back and it's little things like that subscribing, paying the $9.99 a month that really make a difference. Like, it helps us pay the rent on this building. It helps keeps the doors open on this company. So I'm glad we were able to create that distraction for you, and I'm glad, and I do really appreciate you and other folks who decide that, hey, let's subscribe to their channel and help them out in that way, because it does help. And any help, whether it's just you're watching here or coming to our live events, subscribing to our channel, it makes a big difference. And it's not lost on me how grateful I am for folks doing things like that. Yeah. Jimmy had a question here.
What's your Mount Rushmore?
So
Wrestling Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, mine's probably going to be absurd here, but I would say Bruno's on that as one of the biggest draws of all time. I would say, even though he's a racist, you can't disqualify the size of the buildings that he filled. Hogan's on that list. Geez, I don't know. There's a guy from the 30s that sort of more or less saved wrestling, and I can't. His name is escaping me because I've been hit in the head too many times. But I've read so much about him, and I can't think of his name right now. But there's a guy from the 30s that was such. I mean, he saved wrestling for the most part. And then not Vince McMahon, because that guy's a scumbag, and I don't like him.
Yeah, he sucks.
I would say Bruno and Austin, not Cena. Get out of here. Not Cena. I love Cena. I'm not an anti-Cena guy. You can't put him on the Mount Rushmore. So I'm going Bruno. I'm going
Hogan.
Gorgeous George.
Is that who you were thinking of?
No. Gorgeous George, Bruno, Hogan, and maybe Austin, because people forget how far down in the dumps wrestling was in the mid-90s. Like, they were running in high schools and not drawing crowds. So, and then Austin saved it. So I apologize to anybody tuning in on Facebook right now. We did lose that one. My phone died. So we'll have to... I apologize. If you need a question answer, it's going to have to come here. We're getting to the end, though.
Athena Downs.
My daughter, Athena, is watching. Hi, baby Downs. Do you think Imagine will have a KCW reunion show this year? I don't, because most of those guys are out of the business now. And much as I'd love to see them, would people outside of a very select few even care about them? Not that they wouldn't care, but they wouldn't know them. So our audience is much different. Who's your favorite all-time wrestler and your favorite on TV right now? Your favorite on TV right now, I've not answered. My all-time favorite I answered earlier, Stone Cold Steve Austin. My favorite right now, I can't turn off the TV whenever he comes on.
I knew it.
It's Roman Reigns.
I knew it. Not Cody
Acknowledge your
Rhodes.
tribal chief.
You want to see him break Hogan's record?
No.
Okay.
Not because it's Hogan. I just think, I really think it's Cody's time.
Gorgeous Gregory's in the chat. Just put Gorgeous Gregory.
Lavina wants to know if you guys have anything special in mind for her to make for you guys. You know what I would love more than anything at the next show from Lavina? A hug. I like hugs. That's it. That'd be great for me. Let's see. What other? You see any other questions, too?
24 hours a day. I mean, a lot of people think
Gorgeous Gregory has joined the chat, and it's just his only question is Gorgeous Gregory. It's not even a question; it's just a statement.
There's not even a question mark behind it. You care to elaborate, Gorgeous Gregory?
I second that, Greg. What do we got here?
I second that, Greg.
No, what's this one up here?
No, enjoy every show. Every month we come, and I enjoy the happiness of my kids. Looking forward to the stay in Altoona every month. We recently became a member of YouTube.
Thank you.
Jenna. Thank you, Jenna.
I do appreciate that. And I'll actually say it is the best wrestling. It is wrestling on my TV 24 hours a day.
Breaking news in the chat. Cody Rhodes chose Roman Reigns for WrestleMania. Obviously, we haven't seen any of it.
Yeah, we haven't seen it because we've been here.
My phone's been going, it's been buzzing. So obviously, we're looking forward to seeing that. So
Malachi Gage, who's the best wrestler and why is it Malachi Gage? Well, I don't need to answer the question. He already
why even ask it if he already knows the answer?
Yeah.
DC Bentley, who's been the most insane independent wrestler you've known?
DC Bentley? Maybe not in the ring, but outside of the ring. Yeah. Who's winning the Super Bowl? Kansas City Chiefs. I think you have Patrick Mahomes. He's the best player in the world. I think that you can't bet against the best player in the world. I think that maybe the Niners are a better team, but at the end of the day, they have the best player in the world.
Okay, so
shout out to you, Mike Zeep, and what you bring to Wednesday nights.
Well, hey, thank you. It's not about me, but I appreciate you. I enjoy what I do every Wednesday. I enjoy just being a part of Imagine and what I do and helping you and the boys on Saturdays. I've loved wrestling. My fondest memory and my earliest memory just as a child is seeing the Road Warriors, and that's literally the reason why I'm sitting in this chair right now.
There you go. Hawk and Animal.
Yeah.
So Animal in some time
your
ago.
favorite pay-per-view that WWE has ever done outside of WrestleMania. Outside of WrestleMania.
I believe I know. I
believe I know ago.
I don't.
It just passed.
We're back, huh?
Are we good?
Oh, no, we're chopping again.
Somebody asked if you're a Swiftie.
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, we're back. Okay, so am I a Swiftie? I don't hate Taylor Swift, and I think we're about out, right?
We're back as soon as you get up.
Oh, it's me. Maybe I was interfering with it. It's showing a lot of drops now.
Everybody's still in the chat. Oh, Gorgeous Gregory.
Staying live?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just reading the chat, just making sure everything's going live here.
Let me fire through these last couple questions, and then I'm going to do my thing here.
Gregory. Malachi Gage is the best at pulling.
How many eggs does KATO drink raw before workout? KATO drinks no raw eggs, but I do eat 4 to 6 every morning, along with my cottage cheese, as I try to get the proper amount of protein to build some muscle. Is KATO a Swiftie? I do not hate Taylor Swift. In fact, I even like a few of her songs. I don't even care.
Get out.
I don't care.
All right.
Rowdiest crowd in Imagine, and why is it Reynoldsville? Reynoldsville is a great crowd. There's no doubt about it. Altoona is amazing, though. No disrespect. How important has Honey been to the success of KCW and Imagine? More importantly, to the success, your success as a man. Well, she's been my wife for 30 years, and she is a hard worker. There's no two ways about it. And I think anybody that knows her knows that she is an extremely hard worker, maybe the hardest worker that I've ever met. And she gets that from her dad, who has since passed, was an incredible man. She is a lot like her dad, and just a work ethic that is just, it's hard to explain and it's hard to quantify. She is just somebody that has worked harder than everybody else around her all the time. Hi, Mike. Everybody
Hello.
watching from Kerwinsville.
We want Magnus
We
Knox.
want Magnus. What the
I
heck?
imagine he's buying more almond milk.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that Malachi Gage is the best at pulling up his tights, says Gorgeous Gregory. All right. I think we've finally reached the end of this thing tonight. I appreciate the incredible response. Much different than I expected. I figured we would go 10 or 15 minutes, and I'd be like, Mike, you got any other questions?
Yeah.
So
I
it
only
went-
asked you two. So
It went much differently than I expected. So I do want to say I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. This was really fun and nice for me, and I hope you got to know me a little bit better. And yeah, I do want to close on what I used to talk about at the end of all of our Wednesday night shows. So it is important for me to tell you that you are absolutely important. You have so much value. The hole that would be created by the loss of you is a hole that could never be filled. If nothing else, stay strong for yourself. No matter where you go and what you do in life, there are going to be people that try to drag you down, make you feel less than, hurt your feelings, but you can't let them win. You have to continue to fight this fight, stay strong, prove people wrong. You are important. I love you. I can't wait to see you again. Stay strong, and I'll stay strong too. We'll see you.